Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the YouTube channel grecochess, where we comment, we discuss, we analyze, and we talk about all various aspects of the game of chess. In this video, we continue with the online tournament grecochess that is taking place at chess.com. 16 players have started in 4 groups of 4, and 4 have already advanced to the final round. And these 4 are the following: Maxim Govorukha from the Ukraine, baraks7 from Israel, my skin from Italy, and finally your host, Harry series with username theharry from Greece. 10 out of the 12 games have been completed. We have we are omitting the 2 that finished at move 1. We have already presented 5 out of the other games, and now it is time for the next game. And let's give a look at the game that we're going to present today. Let's start first sharing the screen. And here we are. As you see, it is with the white pieces. Is myself, the Harry, your host, against baraks7 from Israel. Once again, I'm only showing part of the screen because we don't want to spoil it. We don't want to show how the game will end until the end of the video. And let's begin. I'm starting with e4, the most popular first move for white, and baraks7 replies the French defense e6. I send the pawn to d4 second move, and baraks7 to d5. My third, I'm sending my bishop to d3, and baraks7 sends his pawn to c5. These are book moves, as you see, all of them, meaning they have been discussed and analyzed extensively in the opening chess theory. And now I deviate, but I take the wrong pawn. The computer would rather have me take the d5 pawn. I took the c5. Then baraks7 will take, let's go slowly, the one on d4. And I decide to have a check on b5, although the computer would rather have me take directly the pawn. The reason I didn't take the pawn is I didn't want to lose the castling right by the exchange of queens. Bishop goes to d7, and I take the bishop. The computer would rather have me develop my knight on c3, which would protect the bishop on b5. The problem, but by doing so, one needs to be very careful that the knight on c3 cannot be threatened, because if it has to move, then the bishop on b5 is lost. Knight takes on d7, and my pawn on c5 is in danger. My bishop goes to e3 to protect the pawn. Computer thinks a mistake, because the pawn is lost either way or other, because I attacked twice and defended only once. My queen goes to d2 to defend the bishop. Knight goes to f6 for baraks7. My knight goes to c3. You see, the star means the best possible move and also agrees with the arrow. Queen to b6 for baraks7. I'm going to take the bishop because I was really in danger of losing a piece, and baraks7 will take the knight. We completed the first 10 moves, and you see that baraks7 has an advantage of 1.9 already. Here you're going to see who is ahead. If you see a number at the bottom left, it means white is doing better. If you see at the top left, it means that black is doing better. Let's continue. Kingside castling for me, and queenside, I'm sorry, the other way around. Queenside castling for me, and kingside castling for baraks7. My knight is developing, goes to e2, and the rook of baraks7 goes to d8 and attacks my queen on d2. And I'm going to move it, but to the wrong square. To e3, computer would rather have me to f4. Baraks7 will send his bishop to g4, attacks my queen, and also attacks the pawn on f2. And if it's lost, then we have a fork of the two rooks, d1 and h1. My queen goes to g3, threatens the knight. Computer would rather have me take the rook on d8. Brilliant move for Barak7, two exclamation marks, and the reason is because the knight is going to be lost, but on the other side, if I take the knight, then Barak7 can use his knight on c5 to check my king, and then the next move take my queen. I saw it, that's why I postponed it by taking the rook on d8, and Barak7 takes back. We completed first 15 moves, things don't go well for me at all. I'm down by 4.8. And they see the danger, that's why I'm not taking the knight with my queen, that's why I'm threatening a second time with my rook. But Barak7 is going to strengthen his knight by moving the pawn to e3. So now I cannot take the knight. This is inaccurate. This is a computer. And let's see how will I continue. Things don't go well for me at all, even though Barak7 advantage went down a little bit. My king goes to b1 to avoid the check. That's why I did it. Because now if somehow I can take the knight, there is no check. The problem is there's no check, but there's a pawn on e3. And with the pawn on e3, if I was willing to lose... No, now if I want, I can take the knight on f2, pawn takes my rook, and the queen takes the pawn, and I don't have to worry about the check. Knight goes to e4 for Barak7. I'm going to take the knight, and Barak7 will take it back with the other knight. Things don't go well for me at all. In addition to being down material, you see the +2 for barrack7. I'm also have to worry about the back rank issue. For time being, I have my rook, but this means my rook is stuck on no first rank. Queen goes to f4, threatening the pawn at f7. But barrack7 is going to check my king. It's a wonderful fork and take my rook. And we completed 20 moves, and then I'm down by 5.9, which means things are really very, very difficult for me, to put it mildly. My queen will take, of course, the knight. Queen goes to a6 for barrack7, attacks my knight on e2 for the time being, protected by my queen on f1. My king goes to b1. I don't want to lose my a2 pawn, even though the computer would rather have me push the pawn to a3. Rook, because that if I push to a3 would also solve the background issue. And now my knight on e2 is threatened for the second time by my rook on d2. And if the rook moves, I lose my queen. And if I place my knight, for example, to g3 to exchange queens, then the rook on d1 is checkmate. Yes, I go to e2 to g3. And I think the easiest thing for, yes, it's made in two moves, you see. The easiest thing for barrack7 is after we exchange the queens, rook goes to d1 and it's checkmate. But barrack7 is going to miss it and instead will send his pawn to e2. Still, my case is very, very difficult, but at least there is not an M in front. I'm only down by 5.9. My knight will take the pawn before he promotes. Queen goes to e2. It's going to be mate unless we exchange queens. Not necessarily, but yes, because rook can go to d1, queen takes and queen. That is why what can I do? Exchange the queens. 25 moves can be completed, and I'm down by 5.8. Barrack7 has an extra rook, and the pawns is leading with 6 versus 5. But it's most of all, I'm down a rook, and also next move is checkmate. If I don't defend, which I defend, but still Barrack7 can take all the pawns they want. My pawn goes to h4, and rook goes to h2. 29 moves have been completed. My case is completely hopeless, and I'm down by 6.2. At this point, at move 27, I resigned. And as you see, in the final round, I'm not doing well at all. In the qualifying round, I was able to win all games and make it to the final, but in the final, one draw and only losses. Let's see if this will continue. But let's now give a look at the review. But before that, we need to change the screen so we can show now the entire screen. And let's share the screen. Here we are. We see the numbers. I had 74% percenters and baraks7 had 84.9. Baraks7 had one brilliant move when baraks7 was willing to give up the knight for a discover check and win the queen next move. One great move for baraks7. Book moves, 3 moves each of us. Best 14 for me, 7 for baraks7. Excellent 4 for me, 10 for baraks7. One good each of us, 2 inaccuracies. Baraks7 made 4, excuse me, no mistakes. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. I made 4 mistakes. Baraks7 had no mistakes, but baraks7 had 1 miss and no blunders. And the result is that little by little, even though I didn't make any blunder, the 4 mistakes were enough. I lost that game as well. We have 2 more games that have been completed in Greco chess, and 2 more are still going on to find out who is going to be the winner. And let's give a look at the other tournament. The Underwater Moonlight, the 7 Moons tournament, if I remember correctly. Not the 7, I'm sorry, the 9 Moons tournament. We are near the end of the first round. 17 games remain. 5, let's see, at least 5 groups get been completed. Let's see now what's happening, the remaining ones. In the first group, although there are 2 games remaining, it's over. Lotus Time Chess or Likimbo and Canon 1972 have advanced. In group 2, it's also completed. Yes, Spider 99, Luciano Cohan and Jean-Lay 1, 2, 3 have advanced. No matter what happens at the remaining games, that cannot change. Group 3, what's happening here? It all depends on the last game. Maxim Govorucha, Vien Carvanans, and Zanilok have already advanced, and there is a chance that let's give a look what's happening. There's one, we're looking at the tie-breaking points because the first 2, Maxim Govorucha with 15 points and Vien Carvanans with 12.5 have already advanced, with 3 players tying with 10 points. And we need to see how the 3 players did against Maxime Govoruka. They lost all games. And against Ray Duquel, here is the case. Zanilok has won both games and Silvio 88 has won only 1 game, which means that if Maxim Govoruka wins a game, then both Zanilok and Silvio 888 will advance. Otherwise, only Zanilok will advance. There's a question mark on Group 3. Group 4 has finished long time ago. Iraq Lion, Rishi Raj 3 and Vivaldi, yes, excuse me, Vivaladivia 5 have already advanced. Group 5, Chinafu, IMMT, and Peon Perez. Group 6, Matisse B 2008, David 8x8x8x8, and Munja 44. Group 7, Mebius, Tsenardev 66, and Tragis have advanced. Group 8, this is my group where I ended up being 6th out of 9. Khaled Khadab, Eliezer MSTL, and Gukuship Original have already advanced. And Group 9, here nothing has been decided because too many games remain. If I'm correct, there's 7 games remain. Hence, anybody can advance and anybody can be eliminated. That's all for now. As I mentioned earlier, things don't go well for me at all in the Greco chess tournament. I made the final round, but 1 draw and the other games are losses until now. Let's will continue later. We have 2 more games to show and 2 more games remaining. I'm your host, Harry Series. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the viewers, subscribers, to the likes and to the comments. And for now, goodbye.